Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate, or I go by AlwaysMoreGaming here on YouTube, and today we are looking back at the games that we've played this year. So I have played 8 games all the way through as of the year 2022. Hey, that rhymed. That rhymed. Look at me go. I thought this would be something really fun to do. I'm posting it on the last day of the year, and I'm just going to kind of go into detail a little bit on the different games. I'm going to rank them here, so with, S being the best, the end-all be-all, would replay this game again in a heartbeat. A is like, it's a really good game. Maybe if, I didn't have anything else to play, I'd replay it. B is, it's a good game. I probably won't replay it. C is more, it wasn't too bad. I'm glad I got to experience it, but it's not something I really think about. It's not something I really would want to play again. And D is, why did I play this? This was a wreck. I should have Gotham Knights down here just to put in as like an honorary thing for D. So anyways, we're just going to go ahead and get started. So the first game that I played this year was also the first game I played after a bit of a hiatus. I played Life is Strange 1 and 2, and I just was not impressed. I was very bored with those games. The first game, I actually ended up rushing through the last chapter. And in the process, I just grew frustrated with it. I thought it was just the same thing over and over again. It was getting very repetitive, very, monotonous, and I just wasn't enjoying it, and it made me just more aggravated with it, and I rushed through it even more, and in the process ended up kind of ruining the last chapter of the game. And then I was like, I'm going to play Life is Strange 2, and so I did, and it wasn't that much better, and it just kind of burned me out for gaming. But then we had FNAF Security Breach. We finally had word that Security Breach was going to be dropping, and it was just, I guess, one of those things that, oh my gosh, yay, we got Security Breach coming out. Everybody was super hyped for it. Everybody had really high expectations for it, and then it was actually out. So Security Breach the story wasn't bad, but it left a lot of unanswered questions. It's a FNAF game, and I find the whole lore and the story of FNAF very interesting. However, it didn't put itself high on my list with the story. And I'm going to be ranking every game, or discussing every game, the story, the gameplay, the graphics, the audio, the difficulty, the game time / runtime, the price, any bugs I experienced, rating it out of 10, and then any extra notes that I have. So as far as the gameplay went with Five Nights at Freddy's, Security Breach was it felt very unfinished. It felt like the game was supposed to come out a couple years ago, and it just didn't. It didn't come out, and it didn't come out, and it didn't come out. And it eventually got to the point that it was just kind of released, and it was laggy, and it was glitchy, and there was one particular spot that myself and the other people that I watched play the game seemed to really struggle with. And that was the arcade fight at the end with Music Man, where you had to flip the levers, and then you had to go to different spots throughout the arcade to flip 3 more levers. And that was the most maddening thing I think I've ever played. I actually ended up rage quitting and walking away from the game for 2 weeks. It took me forever to finish. And unfortunately, the animatronics were notorious for, if you ran into a security bot and, set them off, an animatronic, especially Chica, they were notorious for spawning in, right on top of you. And I died so many times in that arcade fight after I'd pretty much gotten through it, and then I'd run into a security bot and Chica would spawn in on top of me. And I only actually completed that particular level because Monty glitched out. If Monty hadn't glitched, I probably wouldn't have been able to beat it. So there's that. It was a fun game, but it was glitchy, and that Music Man arcade fight was awful. The graphics, they were pretty nice. There were glitches here and there, but when I think back on it, I'm not recalling a lot of graphic issues. The ray tracing, I don't remember if I had, if the ray tracing was just turned down or if it was turned all the way off. I know that the ray tracing caused issues with some people. I don't know what I had with that. But I can't really recall any major graphic problems. The audio, I recall it being, pretty good. The Music Man arcade fight, the music was extremely loud for that fight. For the difficulty, for the most part, the game seemed, pretty average. It wasn't, too terribly difficult, except for the Music Man arcade fight. It was it felt kind of unbalanced. Some parts were, super simple. Other parts, the animatronics were, very sensitive, very touchy. It took, they would spot you sometimes, and other times, you could walk right by them and they wouldn't see you. I'm sorry, my dog is snoring right next to me. I took 17 and a half hours to play this game. So, take that how you will. I personally believed that the game was overpriced, for what we got, for being as broken as it was. And not what we were initially promised, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. I would personally wait for the game to go on sale. If, you're a huge FNAF fan, I would wait for it to go on sale. We're also supposed to be getting some DLC for this game. I don't know when the DLC is supposed to drop. They mentioned it, and then we haven't really heard anything more about it, but we were supposedly getting DLC for Security Breach. Bugs. So, again, I could only beat the Music Man arcade fight because of Monty glitching. But I took note that, again, the animatronics would spawn on top of you. I ran into quite a few bugs here and there. It was not a smooth game. It did not go smoothly. And I ended up rating this game 5 out of 10, and a majority of those points were taken off because of the Music Man arcade fight. It was so devastating and annoying and hair yankingly frustrating. It was bad. I would be seething after trying to play that part, and then I'd have to walk away from it. So some extra notes. Again, the arcade level ruined my opinion of the game. I still don't believe we got the initial version. So when the trailer for the game dropped, the trailer's footage looked a lot different than what we played. And I don't believe we got the game that we were initially shown. I think we were given something else, almost like Steel Wool Studios was like, this is taking too long, let's scrap that, give them something similar and push it out. And it just was not what I think we were promised. It felt very messy. Some parts of the game were really fun, others were very errandy, you're gonna have to go all the way to the other side of the Pizzaplex just for this one thing, or down all the way into the basement just for this one thing, or you need to go get these things before you can move on. And it was a very big file for such an unfinished feeling game. I was constantly getting errors on my computer that you run out of storage. Now, granted, I actually ended up installing extra storage into the computer, and at the time, I had all of my Sims files, all of my recording files, all of my Adobe files, all of my stuff was saved onto the computer, and it was freaking out. It's I don't have enough storage for this. So I ended up getting a hard drive later on, which I now keep my games on. But it was a very large file, and it would cut me during recording and be like, hey, can't keep recording, we ran out of storage. So that's something you need to make sure you have enough storage for this game on your computer, because it is a large game, a very large unfinished game. I can't help but wonder if I would have liked the game more if we'd gotten what we originally promised. And it is something to note that the game was also repeatedly delayed. Constantly being delayed. So, taking all of that into account, I'm going to put security breach. I kind of want to put it at D. I'm not going to lie. This was a game that I haven't really thought a whole lot about since it released. And I think I actually started this game. When did I start Security Breach? I know I finished it in 2022. But when did I start it? I started it... Oh, I did start it in 20... Okay, I started it in February 1st. And I finished it February 4th? What? That does not make... That... Okay, sorry. That doesn't make sense. Hold on. What? What? I'm so confused. Hold on, I'm really confused. I'm confused. When was this uploaded? It's not telling me. I don't know. Anyways. It's a game from the beginning of the year. I don't really think much about it. I probably won't go back to it. I'll play the DLC, but I won't go back to it to play the Monty fight, or to find all the secrets. I don't care. I don't want to reinstall this game for all the storage it took, and this game took forever to download. And I just don't. No, I'm good. I'm good. Next game we played was A Plague Tale: Innocence. Looking back on the year, this is probably one of my favorite games that I played. I loved Plague Tale: Innocence. I originally played A Plague Tale: Innocence. I played the demo years ago. And I was like, I've seen things about this game. I think it looks pretty interesting. I'm going to play the demo. I played it myself. I didn't record it or anything, but I just remember being like, this is so cool. This is great. This is like really nice. Like the graphics were really good. I really liked the gameplay. I didn't like the dog dying, but I was really impressed with the demo. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to buy the game. I have to play this on the channel. And sure enough, I did. And then we got word that A Plague Tale Requiem was coming. And I'm like, I need to play A Plague Tale: Innocence on the channel before Requiem releases. So I did. We played A Plague Tale: Innocence, and I look back on this game so fondly. I would love to play A Plague Tale: Innocence again. It was great. I had so much fun. I guess we'll just get into my categories. The story. I found the story really immersive. Like, I was constantly drawn in. I was kept at the edge of my seat. I always wanted to know what was happening next. I thought the pacing was really good. The gameplay itself was really fun. For the most part, it was pretty smooth. I remember having like occasional issues with the slingshot, but really for the most part, I remember really enjoying this game. I have tried to recommend this game to people, but then they, when they hear, it's got, you can be eaten by rats and stuff, it normally turns people away, but they're really missing out. This game was incredible. The graphics were well done. The audio was really good. I would say it was average difficulty. I recall there were like a few parts towards the end that I kind of struggled with, but for the most part I don't remember really going through the game like, oh my god, this is so hard, like anything like that. It took me 16 hours to complete this game. I personally think the price is worth it because I ended up enjoying this game so much, but I could also see, reasoning for why you could wait for it to go on sale. Because it is like a couple years old now, so it is what it is. It's not a brand new game. So Bugs, there were occasional bugs here and there, but for the most part I thought it was pretty good. I gave it an 8.5 out of 5, 8.5 out of 10 stars. On my notes, one of the best games I played this year. It was one of the best games I'd played in a while, because again, before this, I had played the Life is Strange games. I had tried playing Outlast, and I didn't do that, and we'd gone through almost all of the Henry Stickmin collection, and it was just like, it was one of those things, I just really enjoyed it. FNAF was a mess. Again, Life is Strange wasn't great. I had played Arkham Asylum, you know, that previous September, but it was just, I don't know, it was something I was just like, leading up to it, but Plague Tale Innocence just, it blew me away. I was very drawn to it, as it wasn't something I'd ever played before. It wasn't like any of the other games I'd played, and I downloaded it more out of curiosity, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I could have seen the game remaining a standalone. I didn't think it was necessary to give us a second game. I'm glad there was a second game, but I didn't necessarily see it as being necessary. So I mean, there's that, but I'm going to put Plague Tale, not Requiem, Innocence up in S tier. I would you would not have to convince me to go back and play this game again. You know, say, hey, go play that. I'd be like, yeah, I'm sure I will definitely go play that game again. It was so much fun. I think so fondly of this game. It has definitely gone up to being one of my favorite games I think I've ever played. It was great. Really loved this game. So then we move on to Batman Arkham City. I played, and I tell this story every time I play the Arkham games. I started playing the Arkham games back around the time that Arkham Knight first dropped, and I played them in chronological order. So I started with Origins, and then I played Asylum, and then I played City. And out of the first 3 games, because I didn't play Arkham Knight before my channel, but I did play the first 3 before the channel, and Arkham City was probably the one that I played the least. I would replay, and I don't really know why that is, but I really like Arkham City. I remember when I did first play it, the story was just constantly like taking twists that I just wasn't expecting, and the build up for the game was great. I mean, for gameplay, I mean, it's amazing. It's an Arkham game. It's gotta be great. The graphics were really good. Nowadays they might be considered a little outdated for some things, but for the most part, like, still really good. The Arkham games set standards that games these days are still trying to like get to, still trying to reach. The audio was great. It was average difficulty. I took 32.5 hours to play this game, but then I also did all of the side missions. The only thing that I didn't complete for Arkham City was the Riddler challenges. I could not care less about the trophies or the riddles, but I completed all of the other side missions, along with the Harley Quinn and Catwoman DLC. I don't really know if I would consider the Catwoman mission to be a DLC, but anyways, I completed all of that. I think that the game is worth the price, but that's because the series is one of my favorite series of all time. But the games are also on sale, I would say, quite often. So, you know, there's that. They're usually on sale. They are older games. But I think they're worth the price, but that's just me. There was occasional lag with the game as far as bugs are concerned, but I don't really recall having many issues with it. I gave it an 8 out of 10. And I will fully admit that Talia affected my score. If you know me at all, you know that I cannot stand the Al Ghuls, especially Talia and Damien. Talia drugged Bruce because Bruce refused to be Raisha's heir and lead the League of Assassins with Talia, so she drugged him, then got pregnant with Damien. All without Bruce knowing, because he was unconscious because of the drug. There is a specific term for that, but I do not want to get my video taken down, so I'm not going to actually say said term. But like that is just, to me, that's just revolting. That's disgusting. Plus, Damien's just a jerk. And I've gone over this before. I cannot stand Damien. He is such a dickwad. Like, I don't like him. So, Talia did affect my score. Though, I do really like the actress that plays Talia in Arkham City. Her name is Stana Katic. Stana Katic is known for her show Castle with Nathan Fillion. And Castle is one of my all-time favorite shows. So, like, I love that Stana was in the games. I just wish she wasn't Talia. Anyways, I also felt that the end of the game was pretty anticlimactic. We have this game building up where we have this rush to cure Bruce and kill the Joker before the Titan toxin kills them both, and he also has to get the cure out to Gotham. And then we have Strange, who's trying to take over Arkham City, and then after that he'll take over Gotham City by doing Protocol 10. But then we get to Wonder Tower, we take out a couple guys guarding Strange, we get to Strange. Strange doesn't really fight back, he just kind of lets us attack him. Then once he's taken care of, Oracle is really quick to stop Protocol 10. So then there's Strange, there he goes. No more Strange, he's gone. That's all there is. He's killed by Raish, and he's gone. And then, we get to Joker, we fight Clayface, the cure's gone, and it's just... the end of the game was very anticlimactic. It was so much lead up, so much build up throughout the game, and I felt like it was really good build up just for a really easy ending, especially with Protocol 10 and Strange, like with how easily Oracle was able to stop Protocol 10, and just how quickly Strange was gone. Like, it just, I don't know, I was just kind of like, really? So I'm going to put Arkham City at A. I will always come back and play the Arkham games. I could replay the Arkham games over and over again and never grow tired of them. I just love them so much. So then we come to Heavy Rain, and Heavy Rain, I honestly had higher expectations for Heavy Rain because I love the game Beyond Two Souls. And Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls are made by Quantic Dream, who also made Detroit Become Human, which is a very highly thought of game, really good graphics. It's a very, I don't know how to say, very highly thought of game. Now, granted, Heavy Rain is an older game. It was the first of like that type of game from Quantic Dream. It was pretty different. And I'm sure when it first released, it was considered, more ahead of its time. But playing it in 2022, I just wasn't impressed. I felt like the story was kind of meh. Like, there was a really good twist at the end, but I found myself growing bored with it. The gameplay was really rough. I initially played the game with a PlayStation 3 controller, and I had to switch from using the keyboard, or from the controller to using a keyboard and mouse. The camera angles were really weird. The movements were really wonky. And that's really sad because the game was initially a PlayStation 3 only game. It was only on PlayStation 3. Then eventually when Detroit Become Human came out, it was updated to work on PS4, but it was, for the longest time, it was a PlayStation only game, and for the PlayStation controller to be so difficult to use with this game, that doesn't say good things. I had to switch to the keyboard and mouse. Like, it was just, you had to move like really weird, and it ended up getting 2 characters killed. I ended up killing 2 of the characters. The graphics were meh, kind of outdated. At times they were kind of creepy. The audio was okay, nothing to write home about. I would say it was pretty easy when the controls worked. Now, I'm no top tier gamer, so I know that some of it was just the fact that I wasn't doing good at the game, but at the same time, the controls also made it really hard to be decent at the game. I ended up giving it a 6.5 out of 10 stars. and I feel like looking back on it, that's kind of generous. I would wait for the game to go on sale. I don't really recall a lot of bugs with the games, but the controls were so bad. And like, as I'm sitting here talking about it, it's just one of those things I'm like, I don't really recall liking the game a whole lot. I was really bad at it. It's an older game, sensitive controls, especially with quick time events, and it threw me off a bunch. It was nearly impossible to play on the controller, which again is really sad considering it's originally a PlayStation only game. The controls were the worst part about the game, and they did really affect how I scored it. It was pretty nice about I was pretty nice about it when I was talking about the game at the very end, but I can't remember really enjoying the game when I look back on it. I don't remember getting excited like, yes, it's time to record Heavy Rain. Like, I was just kind of like, I have to record Heavy Rain. It wasn't. I'm gonna put Heavy Rain at C. The twist was really good. I like the studio. I like the games that come after Heavy Rain, but I don't know. I feel like it kind of left a lot to be desired, I guess. So then we move on to Stray. So Stray was like a really cute game. It was highly anticipated. A lot of people were really excited for it, and I was pretty happy with it. Occasionally we had some lag issues, but that was pretty common, it seemed, because of the engine that it was on. What was it? The Unreal Engine. But it didn't ruin the game for me. We'll put it like that. When the graphics were not stuttering, they were very nice. I loved the neon look of the game, very like cyberpunkish. The cat looked great. The cat was, as we called it, or I called it, I guess, Wally, was really cute. The audio was really good. It was pretty average difficulty. The only time I really remember struggling was trying to find the guy with like the bomber, is that what you call it? A bomber jacket. Other than that, I don't really remember struggling a whole lot. The game took me about 9 hours to complete. I also think it was a tad short for the price, so I might recommend you wait for a sale, but at the same time it was really cute. I remember thinking back on it, I recall it being pretty well done, so take that as you will. I don't remember a whole lot of bugs. I gave it an 8 out of 10 stars. My extra notes, I had high expectations and was pleased with the game. It was a really cool and different concept, which I think is one of the reasons why everyone was so excited for it. It was very well done. The cat was able to be a hero, but at the same time it was still a cat. It was still scratching up furniture, it was knocking things over, it was looking for good places to nap. Like, they weren't trying to make this cat into some, super cool hero. They weren't making the cat into something it's not. It's still a cat. I really enjoyed it, but I'm not gonna lie, I also find it kind of forgettable. And I feel bad saying that because I feel like that makes it sound like it wasn't a good game. And it was a good game. But it was, it was very linear. You went through like a few main sections and that was it. What else do I got? The game had frequent lag, but that was apparently common with PC players. It was shorter than I thought it would be. I expected the game to take closer to 10 parts. I ended up completing it in 6. I missed a bunch of secrets, which I kick myself for, but at the same time, I don't necessarily want to go back to find all the secrets. And I mean, I named the cat Wally, and I called the little robot Eva, because Wally is one of my favorite movies. But all in all, I'm going to put Stray at B. No, I'm not intentionally trying to fill each row. I just think this is how they probably best fit. So then we come to Batman Arkham Knight. I had never played Arkham Knight before playing it this year. like I said earlier, I originally got into the Arkham games when I played Arkham Origins years ago, and that was right around the time that Arkham Knight came out. And at the time, my brother was the only one who had a PS4, which he kept in his room, and I don't feel like getting a tetanus shot to go into his room. And I also, at that time, it was like someday I'm gonna have a gaming channel, and when I have a gaming channel, I want to be able to play this game and have authentic reactions. And so I held off. I did everything in my power to avoid the story, any characters that might be in Arkham Knight, anything pertaining to Arkham Knight. I did everything in my power to not know, basically. So I was blown away by the story. It was a really good story for the most part. I do have some nitpicks about it. At the end, I ended up crying because I part of me had seen it coming, part of me did not. I wasn't expecting Bruce to blow up his house on supposedly on top of himself. The gameplay was it was pretty good. A lot of people don't like the tank and Batmobile fights. I didn't actually mind them. I had a lot of fun driving the Batmobile around Gotham. I didn't find it as annoying as I guess a lot of others did. I really enjoyed the characters. I liked for the most part I liked the DLC. I really enjoyed this game, and I would love to go back and play it again. The graphics were amazing. The audio was great. It was pretty average difficulty. I took 70 hours to play this game. That's because I tried to complete as many of the side missions as possible. Again, I didn't do much with the Riddler. I didn't finish the Riddler thing because he wanted me to go find his trophies and his riddles. And there was something else I'm pretty sure I didn't finish, but now I can't remember what it was. But I wanted to finish as many of the endings as possible because I was supposed to be able to unlock a supposed different Nightfall protocol, but when I watched this supposed completely finished Nightfall protocol clip, and I didn't see anything really that different. So I don't know. Again, I would say this game is worth it, but the Arkham games are on sale quite a bit, so I think it's worth it, but it's also probably going to be on sale at some point soon. There were a couple times with bugs that it glitched out, I ran into that issue mainly if I had been recording the game for too long. If I'd had it open for too long, it would get really laggy, and then it would start to freeze, and it almost always would freeze when I was in the Batmobile. Kind of an issue that I had with Gotham Knights, where you'd be driving and then all of a sudden it'd freeze, and it just had that very constant sound of the Batmobile trying to drive, but it was frozen, so it was just making that one sound. But I don't really remember having a whole lot of other bugs. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 stars. And then notes. So I was very emotional at the ending, and I feel like I kind of came off as what do we call them, pick-me girls or something? Oh my gosh, I just hang out with the boys, I only like football, I never do makeup, stuff isn't that called a pick-me girl or something? And I remember saying at the end of the game, I don't often cry, and I feel like I came off sounding very pick-me girl, oh my gosh, I'm not an emotional girl. But to a point, I really don't get worked up about this kind of stuff, and it just really caught me off guard that was how the game ended. And next thing I know, I'm crying, and then I cried at the end of Plague Tale Requiem 2, and I promise you, just I don't know, I don't normally get that easily worked up and emotional, but anyways, this was the only Arkham game that I have never played before. As I said, I felt that the Joker was unnecessary. He didn't need to come back. He didn't need to be in Origins. He didn't need to be in Night. I said what I said. He was so unnecessary. He did not need to be in the game. Oh my gosh. And And I remember talking about this at the end of Arkham Knight, that I was like, okay, I didn't enjoy the part where Joker fronted, where he like basically took over Bruce there at the end when Bruce's identity was revealed. And then Bruce basically locked him, like it showed that Bruce basically locked Joker away, and all of a sudden he's cured, and that's not how that works. I mean, it'd be very Batman for him to be like, oh, I'm just gonna lock Joker in the back of my mind, never think of him again, and I'm gonna be cured and no longer affected by him at all. Like, that'd be a very Batman thing to do, but that is not how it works. And I just, Joker was so unnecessary, and I feel like Batman deserved, and this is very parasocial sounding, I felt like Bruce deserved a lot better than what Arkham Knight did to him. I think Arkham Knight kind of did him dirty, especially now that he's supposedly coming back for the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game, and that's a whole other thing. I honestly am not happy that the Suicide Squad game is considered to be the 5th Arkham game. I think that is not right, because it's not an Arkham game. It may be in the Arkham verse, which does pretty much confirm that Batman didn't die. But I don't think the game should be considered the 5th Arkham game, which is what I keep seeing it called. I keep seeing it the 5th Arkham game, the 5th Arkham game. It's not an Arkham game. It just happens to, be in the Arkham verse. And I really kind of wish it wasn't. I mean, I appreciate that it confirms that Batman isn't dead, but I wish it wasn't in the Arkhamverse, because now I'm expecting it to be like an Arkham game. And Gotham Knights, which is supposed to be its own game, is not a part of the Arkhamverse, however is made by the same people, proved that it cannot hold up against the Arkham games. And so I don't know how to feel about the Suicide Squad game claiming to be an Arkham game, but not being technically not being an Arkham game, because it's not Batman Arkham Suicide Squad or something. I don't know how to feel. Like, I'm very nervous about it, because we saw the crap show that was Gotham Knights. So I'm really hoping Suicide Squad does better. And Arkham Knight was apparently was very glitchy and laggy upon release. I did not play the game at release, so by the time I got around to playing it like 10 years later, it was pretty much fixed. So I don't know. I don't want to have to wait 10 years to play Gotham Knights. But I don't know. Anyways, back to Arkham Knight. When characters die in the Arkham games, they always end up coming back to life. Okay, big point of the Arkham Knight game was that Oracle supposedly died, but she didn't. Scarecrow died supposedly in Arkham Asylum, but he didn't. Jason was supposedly dead, but he wasn't. Like, it's one of those things. Characters never seem to actually die in these games. Technically, Joker died, but he was still, like, tormenting Bruce. So, like, I didn't think Bruce was dead, because, okay, it's Batman. Batman never dies. However, rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. I don't know. I was pretty disappointed, though, with how the game ended, because I thought Bruce deserved better. I didn't like the Joker taking over, banishing Joker just because he had that willpower. Joker was unnecessary. Things I've already said, but those are the remaining notes. I'm going to put Arkham Knight. I think we're going to put Arkham Knight up in S. It was really good. And I do like Arkham Knight more than City. I cannot remember how I ranked them at the end of Arkham Knight, but now I can't remember what I ranked them at. Origins, Knight, Asylum City, maybe. Origins, Knight, City, Asylum City. I don't know, but we're gonna put Knight above City. I liked the story of Knight more than, well, I'm not gonna think too much about it, or I'm gonna end up rearranging this entire list. So then we had A Plague Tale Requiem. So I played A Plague Tale Innocence so that I could play A Plague Tale Requiem. It was a really good game. However, I preferred the first game. It's nothing against the second game, But it was one of those things I felt like Amicia was she was constantly angry, which was addressed. She was very pushy, very forceful. She was claiming she was doing things for Hugo, but then was she really doing things for Hugo? Because Hugo's like, I don't want to do this. Everyone around them was like, we shouldn't do this. And Misia's like, no, we're going to do this. And I don't know. Again, I felt like the second game was a little unnecessary, especially because we spent the entire first and second game protecting and trying to cure Hugo, only for him to die at the end of the second game. Like, what was the whole point? Like, what was the reasoning if he just was supposed to die at the end? However, there was that end credit scene where there was I think it was a baby laying on a table with very dark macula veins, which then poses I had numerous questions at the end of the game, like, okay, what makes the macula, waken a new host? How does the macula know, oh my gosh, our last host is dead, let's waken another's blood? How does it determine who is the macula? Why is there such a huge gap between Basilius and Hugo? But if this baby was at the same time as the end of the game, which was a year after Hugo's death, why was there only a year between Hugo and this baby? Is Amicia going to actually find this baby? Is that going to be a third game? If so, I'd be really interested to see what they do with the third game. But, I don't know. Gameplay. There was lagging, and there was stuttering, and I had to drop graphics, graphic settings because of these problems. At times it was unplayable. Until I messed with the settings, which was really frustrating, especially because I thought it was bad, but then I played Gotham Knights, so it was nothing compared to Gotham Knights, but it was still pretty upsetting at times. And I guess the first game was like that at launch as well, and then the studio released a patch that fixed that, and supposedly they did not do that with the second game. Like, they didn't include whatever fix they had put in the first game. They didn't put that in the second game, so the second game was glitchy and laggy, just like how the first game had started. So I don't know if I should have waited a little longer before playing Plague Tale Requiem, but I was so excited for it that I was just like, I want to play it. The audio was really good. I thought it was pretty average difficulty. I played 26.5 hours. I would say that the price is a bit high just for how laggy it can get, and maybe to consider waiting for a patch to drop that fixes the lagging and stuttering before purchasing. So basically wait for it to go on, or wait for it to go on sale. And then I guess I didn't end up ranking this at the end. I didn't rank Bendy at the end either. I'm going to give this game a 7 out of 10 stars, I think. Again, the story just wasn't as good as the first game, and the lag was pretty bad at times. Let's see, notes. The ending did really get to me. I work with kids for a living, and to have to kill Hugo after we'd spent so long protecting him really bothered me. And again, we also spent 2 games protecting and trying to cure him. So I was, but I wasn't expecting the end of the game. I knew it was a possibility, but I didn't think it would actually happen. The crossbow and the knives were made out to be a big deal, especially the crossbow, and both were really big letdowns. The arrows and knives were very limited, or I was just really bad at finding them. There was supposed to be a stealth mechanic. I never figured out how to do that, and I'm all in for stealth. The last game, again, was notoriously laggy at launch. Then a patch was dropped to fix it, but that patch wasn't included with this game, and there were numerous issues. I prefer the first game, we know. And then there's Beatrice, which is Hugo and Amicia's mom. I cannot stand Beatrice. She was never around Amicia as a child. She was always with Hugo. And we were led to believe that she was always around Hugo just because he was sick and she was caring for him. But it was kind of revealed that no, it was more that Beatrice was doing her own form of experimentation on Hugo. And like she just didn't have time for Amicia. And then once the first game ended and they were all like reunited, Beatrice didn't really try to understand Amicia, and she wasn't really doing what was best for Hugo either. She was just like, oh my gosh, we need to go see this person so they can do their own form of experiment. We're going to follow what the order says, even though it might hurt him. Like, she didn't have Hugo's best interests in mind, and she just didn't get Amicia, and she didn't try to get Amicia. She was just always like, well, you just don't understand, or Beatrice didn't understand how Amicia and Hugo were, what they'd gone through. It was just, I don't know. I do not like Beatrice at all. But I'm going to put Requiem. I don't know if I want to put Requiem at A or B. I'm not sure that I would play Requiem. I think I'm going to put Requiem at B. I'm not sure that I would come back to play a Plague Tale Requiem. Maybe, but I'd rather play a Plague Tale Innocence, like, hands down over Requiem. It was just, it was good. I liked it. It's just not, like, at the top of things I'd want to replay. Then we come to the last game that I played this year, which was Bendy and the Dark Revival. This game was... So the first game, Bendy and the Ink Machine, was released in 2017, 5 years ago. And shortly after the release of Ink Machine, Dark Revival was rumored to be in production. And then we were going to get, I think initially we were going to get it in 2019. Then it was delayed to 2020. And then we heard like nothing about it. It would just kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And then I was afraid that it wasn't actually happening, that the game had been scrapped, that it was done, they weren't going to be releasing a sequel. And then all of a sudden, like in the middle of November, a trailer's dropped. And it's like, hey, in 2 weeks, the game's going to be out. Like, nobody was expecting it. And it was so good. I had so much fun playing Dark Revival. It was a lot different compared to Ink Machine. Like, Ink Machine was pretty contained to the studio. Like, even though, like, the studio just, it seemed like there was just so much in the studio. You know, there was this Bendy Land and on top of the actual studio itself. And there was just all of this stuff going on. But Dark Revival just made the studio like a bajillion times bigger. And there was just so much more going on. And the story was fun and was nothing like I was expecting. I will say, when it comes to the gameplay, it was a bit sensitive. Even after messing with the sensitivity and lowering it, you had to be standing at like a very special spot in order to pick something up. And I voiced that annoyance numerous times while playing. I had to be standing at a certain spot in a certain angle, facing a certain way in order to be able to pick things up. And that might just be because I was playing with controller. I don't know if it was better playing mouse and keyboard, but I prefer playing with controller, so that's what I was doing. The graphics were really good. They were like so much... I thought Ink Machine was really good graphics. This was so much better. Like, the graphics were kicked up a notch. However, I will say the like goop creatures, I don't really remember what they're called, but like the ones that like walk around with like the pipes that like we can banish and stuff, something about them was off. Like I just felt like their visuals didn't quite match the game. They almost felt too 3D. However, they made like noises as they walked, was like their ink like slopping, or like, I don't know how to like was their ink like impacting the ground. And that noise was really good. And then don't even get me started on Bendy's voice, or like the Ink Demon's voice. It was perfect, okay? He didn't talk in the last game, but in this game, he was growling, he was talking, he was threatening. Like, the voice was perfect. You know, you think Demon, and this guy's voice was fantastic. It was like, you think Demon, and this guy's voice should immediately pop into your head. It was perfect. It could not have been a better voice. I was blown away when Bendy started talking. Let's see, the difficulty, I would consider the game to actually be kind of easy, borderline average. I didn't think it was particularly difficult. I'm just kind of a coward, so like I don't really just like run into situations. I like to hide and kind of scope things out, kind of take things the safe way. Try not to get caught. So there's that. I took 9.5 hours to play this game. And I don't know. The last game was $20 for all 5 chapters. And this game was $30 for all 5 chapters. And the thing is, I took relatively the same amount of time to play the last game. So I don't know, like maybe you could say it's like a little expensive for its price, it's a little short. For its price is what I meant to say, or a little expensive for its playtime. I don't mind. I think it was worth it. It was so good. It blew my mind, like just blew any of my expectations for it out of the water. As far as bugs are concerned, it lagged out a couple of times, but otherwise it was pretty good. I rated it a 9.5 out of 10 stars. The controls were a bit wonky at times. The sprint, oh my gosh. The sprint was very sensitive, very touchy. Like you had to, so you press down on the left joystick of the controller to sprint. But like if I didn't keep the pressure like exactly perfect, then like she would stop sprinting. And I did not like the sprint mechanic. I don't think, it just didn't work well with the controller. But it was good. It was really good. It was really good. I think, should I put I'm gonna put Dark Revival up in S. So like these are my top 3 games that I played this year. It was so much fun. I enjoyed it so much. I had so much fun with pretty much these games and up. These 2, but these 6 I had a lot of fun with, and I would replay them again in a heartbeat. They were great. I really enjoyed these 6 games. So yeah, I guess that's really about it. I hope you enjoyed listening to me, ramble on and talk for, almost an hour. I will probably continue doing this, but I might make it into something that I start doing on anniversaries instead. Like, hey, this is the game I've played since my last anniversary or something like that. I don't know if it's something I'll do at the end of every year. Or what. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I guess that's really about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I have my Sims channel and my Twitter both linked down in the description below. If you'd like to go check either of those things out, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye, guys.